Hello and welcome to Anywhere But Here, episode 279. I'm Ant, and I'm on my own for this intro. Don't worry, Tom will be back. He is in this episode, but he's currently recording a spoiler cast with today's guest, Ande Case. You can find us in the usual social media sites, facebook.com/ABH Pod. You can find us on Twitter at ABH Pod. We're on YouTube occasionally. Just search for ABH Podcast, I think it is. You can email us abhpod@gmail.com. If you are on abhpod.com, which is our main website, you can scroll down and you can find the Amazon banner. If you click that Amazon banner, it will take you to the Amazon website, just the normal Amazon website that you'd normally visit, but clicking that banner means 5% of whatever you spend, and it helps us pay for our hosting. You can also support us over at Patreon. There is a banner on our website for that as well. We only ask for $1 a month, and for that you get the spoiler casts, as I was just saying, but you'll get that pretty much as soon as they're recorded. You can get exclusive after the podcast, or this time you'll get Andy playing our game 5 Clicks to Christ on there. That's our preferred method for you to support us, not only because it's a regular income, but also because we actually give something back to you as well. So it's like you're getting something extra, and it is worth it, I think, as Andy says at the end of this episode. Speaking of this episode, like I say, we've got Ande Case on. He updates us on his projects, what he's doing, how he's managing to do his projects while we're in lockdown. We discuss lockdown in general with him, how he's coping. We discuss Brexit with him. It's just a general chit chat and a catch up. We haven't spoken to him for a while. It's always nice to hear from people you haven't spoken to in a while. But first, I guess it's just a chat with me and Tom about my new job. So enjoy.
So yeah, how's the job going?
It's good. It's odd because obviously I'm not doing the job at the minute. It's because it's quite a technical job, so I'm just basically sitting watching somebody work. They're up in Castleford. Sorry, up in Castleford. So it's remote. It's over Microsoft Teams. Just basically they're sharing their screen and talking us through it, what they're doing and stuff like that. Which seems quite good. There's two different. So the team I'm on, there's two different levels of support, or two different areas of support. There's a primary care and a secondary care. And primary care deals with like GP surgeries. And they take like 200-300 calls a day, across the team. For instance, the other day, what time was it? About 3:00 in the afternoon. They were up to like 170, 180 calls that they'd received so far. And the secondary team, which is I'm part of, had one call in that time. So because essentially what the secondary care is, it's normally it will be more complex cases. So it'll be more in the lines of like the hospitals and that sort of different departments up at the hospital sort of reporting that they're having issues, and their issues take longer to fix. So that's the team I'm on basically. So we're just sitting watching this woman work at the minute. So it's really difficult. And now it was okay because we were in the office, and obviously after Boris's announcement during the week, we now have to work from home, which I always thought sounded like the dream, but it's not. It's really especially because I'm not actually working at the minute. It's quite difficult just sitting watching someone while you're sat at home.
Yeah, so you're kind of shadowing over Teams.
Yeah.
So it's just sitting and watching someone do their job.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, and obviously because all of us are pretty much doing the same thing, what tends to happen is we've got a separate chat in Teams for just the new starters, and it ends up devolving into posting memes and links to funny videos on YouTube, and because there's a lot of time sat idle, waiting for a call to come in or waiting for something to happen.
Yeah, and
so
you can't.
In the office, we would just turn and talk to someone.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah.
which you can't do.
No.
So it's quite difficult. And like I said to, because I messaged our manager and like asked if I could work from the office, because there's a couple of us that would rather be in the office.
Yeah, I think during training as well, you want that kind of you want that surroundings, maybe.
Yeah. So one particular member of the team who really struggled, like in the first lockdown, she really, really struggled with her mental health. So she wants to work in the office. Mine is more a case of, I mean, I think it could end up sort of affecting my mental health, because although I'm not doing much work and I'd be doing the same amount if I was in the office.
Yeah.
When I'm at home, I hold myself more accountable, even though it's not my fault. I sort of blame myself for not getting as much done. If you get my meaning, it's a really weird one. Like, I wouldn't do that much work in the office, but at least I'd be at work in the office. So
yeah, so it feels like you're
it's
at work.
not your fault. Whereas when you're at
yeah.
home, you sort of get distracted. Like, I've been picking up my guitar or something like that when it's downtime.
Right.
Oh, I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
Right. So
but I think that the thing that you say is, if you're having that kind of downtime at work, you would be having downtime anyway. So it doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah, but when you're at work, it doesn't feel so much like you're being lazy, I should say.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're at home, you sort of blame yourself a bit more.
No, I know what you mean.
I know it's not my fault, but it's I don't know. It's really odd.
Yeah, it was something that I had to really get used to right at the beginning of lockdown, was working from home, and I think I took the wrong way about doing it. I basically would get up at the same time as I usually got up, and then started work basically an hour early, and then would also kind of work right through lunch, so that I'd finish at like 3:30 instead of 5:30, which kind of maximised my evening. But really, I think probably a better way to do it is to, because you can't work solidly for that long.
No.
There were times if I was deep in writing articles or whatever, then yes, you can spend that long doing that. But yeah, you can't do that every single day. That's for sure.
No,
getting up and moving around and taking a break is important.
Yeah, I mean, on Wednesday after the announcement, suddenly on our training environment online, a temporarily working from home module popped up for everyone to read. And like in there, it says structure your day as though you're at work. Like you're saying, you got up and started early.
Yeah.
But it says keep to the same schedule as if you were at work. So start work at the time you would start work, have your break at the same time, get up and walk about. And it's weird. I mean, Liz does the same as you. Like, she gets up or when she was working at home, she'll get up and start working as soon as she gets up. But unlike you, she would carry on working straight through until 5.
Yeah. See, I was
get extra time out there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way, if you want to prove that you're being more productive at home.
If you want to work at home, yeah, that's what you would do.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, it is what I would prefer, especially at the moment. Obviously, there's no choice. If I were to go back to work, then I would probably be having to work from home anyway. So, but going forward, I know that, certain elements within the company that I currently work for were looking to kind of maybe loosen up the not working from home mantra that they kind of have. They were looking to maybe offer a bit of time at home, and I would definitely have wanted that, because I feel more productive when I'm at home rather than in the office, weirdly.
Having somewhere you can work helps for sure. The setup I've got at the minute where I'm sat is not ideal. Because it's just a dumping ground, so it's quite it doesn't feel great, but it's what we've got.
Which is why you'd prefer to be in the office.
Yeah, it's just I have that difficulty at the minute. We don't have a specific place. Like, if we had a separate room that was a study, that would be okay, because that would be the room where you go to do your work.
Yeah,
but we don't have that, so we're sat where we would sort of normally sit. So it's not a work environment. Whereas the office is a work environment. You go there, you're in work mode. Here, I'm at home. So,
yeah.
But again,
I know what you mean.
It's that I've done it for 2 days so far. So, that's not enough time to sort of get into the mindset.
No, and that's it, isn't it? It does take time, especially if you've never worked at home before. It does take time to kind of bed in and be like, right, what is my routine? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
I think it took me a little while to kind of, I didn't have much more than a little while to get used to it. But
Yeah, and like you say as well, because I'm training, I'm not actually working as such. I'm just watching somebody do their work. Like if I was actually doing stuff, it would probably feel a bit more. It'd probably be easier to get used to.
Because you'd be engaged the whole time with what you were doing, wouldn't you? Yeah.
I'd be doing. I'd know what I'm doing. I need to do this, and this, and Whereas at the minute, it's just like, what are we doing? And the thing is, the person that we're shadowing she's a senior member of staff, so she has other stuff that she needs to do. She has to go off and do calls, and when she goes off and does calls, we're sat there with nothing to do.
So you're not listening in on the calls then?
Yeah. So we would listen on the calls, but because we're shadowing this one particular person. But when I say go off to do a call, I mean it's like a call that's not to do with the work that we would be doing. Like it's a team meeting or something, senior team meeting. We'd have to go off and do that, and then we'd have to sort of find something to do while she's not there. So
right.
It's very loosely structured, shall we say. But no, it's good. I mean, like my first day, we went in and they sort of introduced themselves and they just toured us around the office. And they went, right, okay. Took us to our desks and went, here's your laptops, get them set up. And that was it. All
right.
Yeah, so we were setting up our laptops and the manager that day was just like, okay, yeah, here's your login details. You have to set your password. He said, I'll send you an email in a second. And then he walked off, sent an email through, which was about, because you have to book your desks for the week. So so it's like a track and trace system in the office. So they know where people are sat. So if somebody calls up with symptoms, then they can tell everyone that was sat near them. So they sort of did that. And then that was it. And we didn't see him. And we're kind of like, so what should we do? Luckily there was a Teams call booked in that we arrived late to. It was just a boot camp training. They did like 7 or 8 boot camp sessions, which is about customer service and what the company expects of you as someone who's working there, etc. Talking about how to communicate, smiling while you're on the phone, slowing down your speech, and the usual customer service stuff.
Yeah.
Other than that, we weren't told anything else, and it was basically just going through your emails, looking for things that you needed to log into, and sort of like self bit of discovery. We had to discover what to do, and we got into it. Luckily, the team that started the week before, they were quite helpful and said, "Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Yeah, that's not going to work. Yeah, you can't do that. Go and do this." Yeah. But it's fine. Once we sort of got into it, it was like it's sort of encouraging you to be a bit more productive on your own and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Quite a good way to do it, because you sit there and you're like, okay, let me click on this. Okay, there's something to do. Okay, I'll do that then. It's just
It will be an experience, a new learning curve.
Yeah, so I mean, like I've had to learn how to use Outlook's calendar to schedule my days, and learning how to use Microsoft Teams. It's just loads of different things. It's quite good. But I've never worked in an office environment. I've never needed to know how Microsoft Teams works.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'd not heard of Microsoft Teams until furlough, basically. It's it's a pretty new thing. But yeah, I remember having to set up calendars and stuff was just absolutely alien to me as well. Making sure you got all your reminders working and stuff.
But it's good because the training environment we got, it's like those online sort of training places like Udemy and stuff like that. It's almost like that, but everything's free on there. So we're watching this woman work, and she's like in Excel, and I thought I could use Excel, but I was watching her work, and I was like, oh shit. Like, and she's not using it to create spreadsheets to share around. She's using it to find information that she needs from a database.
Yeah, like I still don't understand any of that.
I'm like, okay, I need to brush up on my Excel skills. So I went to this training environment and found them and started working through the module. It's really cool. It's just like a big knowledge base of video tutorials. It's cool.
Excel is one of those programs that, like, you think you know what it is until you realize that you have absolutely no idea what it can do. All the kind of values and all the
I think the thing she was using was like pivot tables, which it's a pretty basic thing, but I've never I learned how to do it in college, and I've never touched it since, so I forgot how to do it. And I'm like, what sort of application? How are you ever going to need to use something like this? I don't get it. I don't understand how you would use. And I saw her using it. I was like, oh wow,
that's how it
crazy. So when we log an incident, it gets put in the database, and she pulls up the information. It's every single incident. So even if a surgery or has got like 10 incidents, it will be listed as one incident.
Right.
But she'll create a pivot table, which will basically then say, right, okay, so this surgery, this code, this is the surgery. And now it says they've got 10 incidents rather than each one individually. It just groups them. And I'm just like, how did she do it? It looked like magic.
Yeah.
It looked like magic to me.
It's a bizarre program. I should probably know much more about it than I do. But even to be fair, in my job, we don't really use Excel that often.
So
I've never really had
we've got so much data. To trawl through. It's crazy. And like looking at it, I'm just kind of like you'll have. So it's essentially like if you go to hospital and have an X-ray, then the X-ray department will sort of upload it to they will send it to the surgery. And then what happens is the surgery then needs to download the document to file it with your patient records.
Right.
But the amount of documents that are on there that are not being collected by surgeries for like months at a time. And you're just like, I really hope that nothing in there is like urgent. Like it's crazy. Like, and like the surgeries just don't collect their documents. Like it should be an automatic process. Like there's a piece of software that starts up and every morning it will go and look to see if there's any documents and download them. But sometimes the surgeries close the computer down that's got that on it. And it's just like, why would you do that?
That's strange and slightly bizarre. Yeah.
And then they phone up, go, we haven't got any documents. And you're like, well, no, because you closed the program down. Like, what are you doing?
It sounds like they need to be trained.
It's absolutely bizarre, some of the stuff you get on there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyway, we've got a guest in the waiting room. Shall we let him in?
Why not? Let's.
He's coming. He's on his way.
Any minute.
Apparently, it's not instant. He's in. He knows how to use it. He does. He's connected.
He does know how to use it. He does. Hello. How are you doing, Andy?
Yeah, good. Thank you. I don't think this is. I'll take this off.
Oh. Your headset wasn't working, no?
Yeah, it's Bluetooth pairing. Don't ask.
Oh.
That's all right. I can talk like this.
Yeah.
How are you two keeping?
Not too bad. I can't say too much about my situation right now.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But yeah, I'm okay. I'm
in the grand scheme of things,
remaining positive.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, fair point.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm keeping it. I'm having to learn to work from home. We were just talking about it because of my new job, and because of Boris on Wednesday, I now have to work from home.
And that means training from home.
Yeah, I'm not working from home. I'm watching someone work from home whilst I'm at home.
Oh wow, that's getting quite meta now, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bit odd, but it's it's difficult. Like I was saying to Tom, it's when because I'm working from home. If I'm not very productive, which I can't be because I'm not working, I'm just training. But if I don't feel like I've learned a lot, I blame myself when I'm at home. So I'd rather be in the office to say, but I'm at the office and there was no opportunity for me to work, so it's fine. Instead, I'm at home going, there's nothing to do at the minute. I'm going to pick up my guitar or my Nintendo Switch or whatever. And then I'm sort of blaming myself, even though it's not my fault. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's weird. It's a weird world we live in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's. Is that
Just set. Oh, we've got Robot Andy.
Oh, we've got Frozen Andy. He's not even.
Oh no! Oh no!
See you there?
Yeah, no, that's better.
Ah, there we go.
Okay, cool.
I don't know. It's not normally a problem with the internet here. I don't know why it's playing up. Sorry.
No, we had a weird one a couple of episodes ago for no apparent reason. So
yeah, it's been fine. Although last night on the Zoom call, I froze quite a lot.
Yeah, true. I was worried about that this morning.
But it was okay. It was okay for a majority of the call, and it was just like a weird 5 minutes. But no. But you were saying before you froze, Andy.
Yes.
I'll have to just remember to smile, so if I freeze, it just looks like I'm engaged and smiling, even if I'm not responding. Yeah.
Or do it like you're waiting for us to say something.
So how have you found lockdown anyway?
Yeah, like most people, it's totally surreal, isn't it? And even if you think you're coping, sometimes it just hits you like a wall, doesn't it? And obviously some people it's hit them earlier, but I think everyone's getting down about it. But it's impossible to tell, isn't it? I know you've got people running around saying don't wear a mask, and people saying, I even saw there's someone who I used to respect on Twitter putting around a percentage chart.
Right.
Only this many people will die in this age group, and it's like, I'm sorry, you've now reduced people's loss to a percentage.
Yeah.
But equally, like statistics about a virus that no one knows anything about don't work like that.
No.
But you don't know about other symptoms and things, do you? Don't know. And I know people are saying, oh well, if you're already going to die, this definitely will finish you off. And it's like, well.
But it's that weird thing as well. It's like, well, only this many people in this age bracket are going to die of it, and it's like, well, surely only one person dying of it is too many. So that's the point. Yeah, saying only this many people are going to die, it's like, well, that's too many.
Yeah, and the thing is, it was a fellow filmmaker, and I kind of thought I'm not going to name names, but I kind of thought she would be more, I don't know, perhaps more understanding. Being an arts kind of person, you think she'd be more empathetic, a bit
more liberal,
But she seems full gung ho on this. Don't go and just suck on people's faces, even if they've got COVID, you'll be fine. And it's just, only so many, like you say, only so many people have died. But if that's your person who's died, that's very personal, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm not going to truck up to someone and say, "Hey, cheer up! You're only, they were only in the 0.1% group, so it's fine."
Yeah. Think of all the many other people that have survived.
Yeah. Think of all the people who didn't die that you don't know. Yeah.
And just recently I've met someone who has lost like multiple family members and friends due to COVID. And it's just way too many. And the thing is, it's like, I know, like, I've been looking at maps and stuff. Like, have you seen the maps of the UK, like where it's sort of like the heat maps? It's great. Like down in the southeast, it's barely anyone compared to like when you go and look up north, sort of Midlands and stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy up there how many people are dying from it. So although you might think, yes, we're safer down here in that sense, but that sort of, I think those sorts of things are really dangerous because they lead to complacency, don't they? They're like, it's not too bad down here, so I'm not going to be quite as careful.
Yeah.
It's almost
onto a beach,
Yeah, it's almost like the pollen warning on the weather, isn't it? Low, moderate warning, or like high, very high. But no, it's
the aside from sort of obviously the lunatics and the scumbags, it's the people who've kind of said, "I'm bored of it. I'm just going to go back to normality." And that's really not how a pandemic works. You can't just declare you're bored of it and you'll be fine. That just isn't a thing.
Yeah,
it's not
the sort of thing. It doesn't come walking up to you and you just go, "Oh no, fuck off," and it just walks.
No, you've had 6 months to infect me. If you haven't done it by now, frankly, I'm not interested. So.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I know eventually, it may be eventually medical sort of experts who are the ones I want to listen to will say, actually, we maybe over-egged it a bit. Maybe we could have done things, but I'd much rather they're over-egging it at the moment. Saying, hey, you know what? We really underplayed this. It's really bad. You know?
There's always the old adage, isn't there? Better safe than sorry, and I'd rather be safe than catch this thing.
Yeah, act early because a stitch in time saves.
Oh, fuck off!
God, don't. Are we just going up in threes? Is it going to be 12 next? Is that going to be the next thing? Is it?
But
I mean, he hasn't got a clue, has he?
No.
There we go.
None of us have. That's the thing. None of us have, and he's acting like he does, and it's just that's dangerous. Like I would respect him so much more if he just walked out on one of his broadcasts and went, "I don't know, mate. Just wear a mask." I don't know. Just wear a mask, please. Like
it's why they should have kept they should have not had him anywhere near it and just left Chris Whitty and the other guy to it. These are the people who are heads of their fields. Like Chris Whitty helped out with the Ebola crisis. He's a world expert in virology and bacteriology. Like he knows what he's fucking talking about.
Are you saying leave it to the scientists, Tom?
I know it's a controversial opinion, but I believe that actual specialists have their uses, Call me a maverick.
I think you're quite right. And my political views aside, I know this is almost an impossible situation, but when the whole thing about when they said, right, all go out to the pubs and here's a tenner to go out and eat and everything. And then obviously this second spike is coming in now and they're saying, oh, wow, no, that was your fault for going out. And
who could have seen that coming?
No.
Yeah. And this is the thing.
Either lock it down and say, look, we don't know if this is the best solution. We don't even know if this is going to really work. But to be honest, if people aren't moving, that must be the best thing we can think of at the moment. And yes, I know it's pissing you all off, but it's the best thing we can think of, and just leave it at that. And I understand the pressures on the economy and all this kind of stuff.
Of course.
But every time you unlock and people fly off and not fly off, but drive off and see all their friends and family around the country.
Well, in some cases, fly off to other countries as well.
Go to pop over to Italy, which didn't happen.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, obviously there is no perfect solution. No political party, even if it's one I respected, would be able to come out of this looking good.
No,
because it is just impossible to come up with a perfect solution.
The problem is,
at the end of the day, the whole thing has been placed on the economy rather than people's lives, and I think that is inherently despicable.
Yeah. And there was a thing in the paper. Sorry, there was a thing in the paper where they were saying, I can't remember who it was some senior person in some big business, and they'd started to blame the businesses for not coming back to central London and saying, oh, but the coffee shops and places are suffering because you're not there. And it's like, hang on a minute, it's not our responsibility to fund the coffee shops. Hang on, when did that become our fault? Bloody hell.
It's crazy. It's insane. And the thing is, if they'd have gone full lockdown from the start and it hadn't worked, they could have gone, well, they would have known for a fact, well, there's not really much we can do. But the fact that they sort of half-assed it led to some confusion. It gives people like us, our self-righteous podcasters whose opinion counts. It gives us the right to now come out and go, well, you didn't do the full fucking lockdown, so it's your fault. But there's no guarantee it would work, like you say. But we actually, at least we have a reason to think that they've done something.
I think
in doing the partial lockdown thing as well, it sort of stretched out this economic impact. Like a full lockdown, if they'd have just done that for 3-4 weeks, I think in the long run it would have had less of an impact on the economy.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think if they had locked down for say a month or 2 months or something and said, right, this is our first go at trying to contain it.
Yeah.
And they properly don't, like you said, shut everything down and said you can't go anywhere, stay at home. Yes, it's going to piss you off, we know that, but just do it. And like you say, a month or 2 months goes by. If that showed no discernible change to the patterns, then you go, okay, so that hasn't worked. We have to move on. But like you say, this sporadic, and even these local things now, which I think, how does that even work? You're saying, oh, we're locking down this town. It's like, what have you put around, like a big fence around the town or something? I mean, how does that actually work? Because people are definitely still going to go and see people, aren't they?
Of course they are.
And even within the town, they're going to,
But you can trace it all the way back to Dominic Cummings as well. Like the fact that he was, and it's hack material to do, but it's true.
Yes.
Once he did what he did, and allegedly did it twice as well. Yeah. He did it earlier than the one that went up, that really blew up in the press. Yeah. And he wasn't arrested for it. He wasn't reprimanded. He didn't lose his job. He wasn't even fined. He got there was no blowback on him whatsoever. No. That has allowed anyone that feels like they don't want to follow the rules. It's given them carte blanche not to follow the rules. Yeah. Who can blame them? Who can blame them? The most powerful person in the country, in politics in the country, is doing this with no repercussions.
And it's fine. And again, like with these partial lockdowns as well, I don't know about you guys, but this most recent one where it's like work from home, curfew at 10 o'clock in the pubs. I mean, that's not much of a change. That hasn't changed. No. Like, I don't feel like it's everything else is carrying on as normal. I can still go to my climbing gym. I could still go to a pub and have a dinner if I want. Like, how does that really help? Like, what makes 10 o'clock like this magical time of day? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. COVID's activated by dark light. But they showed, someone had a video up the day after the 10 o'clock curfew saying, so all that's happened now with the 10 o'clock is that because all the businesses are complying, you're just throwing a load of people out onto the street who were necessarily in their pod, if you like, in the restaurant or the pub, but they're now all on the street as a mass.
Yeah.
So that's actually worse.
So that's it. I went to pick Liz up last night at 10 o'clock. She went to a pub with one of her friends. There was like live music, which I didn't think was a thing at the minute, but apparently it is.
Unless it's acoustic, as far as
I think it was possibly acoustic, but it was it was a ticketed event. And she said, it was weird. Like you sat at your table, they bring your drinks over to you and stuff like that. But I went up there and about like 20, 30 people all came out of the pub at the same time. These people that have been sat social distance on the tables, now all walking out, they're all pissed up. So none of them have got their masks on. Like they're supposed to put their masks on when they get up and leave. None of them had their masks on. They were all stumbling out of the pub. And it's just like, so now everyone's doing it at the same time rather than staggered throughout the night.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so...
if you're going to have it open, you may as well just have it open to a normal time, because naturally some people will drift off early when they've got to go and pick, the babysitter's going, or they're just knackered because they're old. So they're going to leave a bit earlier. And there will, like you say, there'll be a natural dispersal, won't there, over, say, 10 o'clock to midnight or something. There'd be a natural dispersal of people trundling off home. But just shutting everything at 10, everyone is on the street or on the bus or on the tube or whatever.
Because everyone's trying to cram in that last drink as well before 10. Like, 1
minute to 10, press my button, come on!
Yeah. It's like as soon as last orders go at like 9:30, everyone's going to rush to the bar anyway, because they're like, this is far too early and I want to maximise my time in here.
And the thing is,
15 pints, please.
Believe me, I've had it before in the past when I used to work in pubs. You bring that last orders and they're like, right, we're getting around in. And you're like,
and I mean, like, it's that classic thing as well where, I mean, I'm guilty of it. When I went out for my friend's birthday once, like by 11 o'clock I was in bed, like passed out, like completely smashed. But like last night they came out, like Liz came out, absolutely fucking 3 sheets to the wind, like and she goes, I don't understand, like I only had 4 wines. And I was like, were they large? And she was like, yes. And what time did I drop you off? 6:30. And what is the time now? 10 o'clock. And did you eat? No.
There you go.
So you've had a bottle of wine.
That's it. I suppose 4 large wines is a bottle. But it's just one of those things. And because you're there and you just drink, like you don't understand, but you're cramming it all into this short period of time. And everyone's doing it, like you say. It's mad. The other thing, did you see that post I put up on Facebook after the announcement, Boris's speech on, was it Wednesday night or Thursday night?
I'm not on Facebook anymore because of the I have opinions about the owner of Facebook.
Well, it's awful. It's awful. But so I was watching the news after his announcement, and I had to put the video because you can't believe what you're seeing. So it was this announcement of we're having tighter restrictions, we're locking down, and the news, like the news anchor was outside number 10 talking. The door for number 10 opens. There's the doorman stood there. Two of the people that work at number 10 just walked straight past him, like together. So there's 3 of them.
No one with masks.
All together. None of them had masks on.
Yeah.
And you're like, so we just had this announcement from number 10 that we've got to be careful because it's not safe. And then there's people walking out with no masks on. Like in my office, if you get up from your desk, you better be wearing a fucking mask. Like, but number 10 doesn't count.
I think this is the classic thing about sort of do what we say, though, isn't it? But it's also even if you don't believe it, if you were there for the right reasons, which I don't believe the current government is, but if you were there for the right reasons to protect the public, even if you thought I'm not really convinced, you'd still just wear the mask just for the PR side of it.
Of course you would, yeah.
And I just don't understand these anti-masks anyway. Like, just wear a mask. It's a minor inconvenience.
Yeah.
Like,
but you don't understand. No, but you don't understand that. What it is like it's scientifically proven that these masks don't actually stop bacteria getting to you. So why the fuck should you wear it if it's not a barrier to you? They're not thinking about passing it out. They're not thinking about the fact that you might have it and you might be passing it into the room.
But also, in answer to that question, so the simplest answer is just in case.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
I think probably this is.
I know you know that, Tom. Sorry, I'm not.
No, I know. Yeah, no, I was playing a part, and I was playing the part so convincingly that you had to tell me off.
Bloody hell, Tom!
Didn't have you as an
acting.
But this is the same group that get outraged about all the things that we think are sort of wrong about this country, if you like. It always seems to be the same. I think they're like a for-hire group, aren't they? Like, like the sort of the Brexit thing, or the immigrant thing, or the mask thing. I'm sure if someone was tracking the photos, I reckon it would be the same group of people.
Professional contrarians.
I really do think it is, because the level of I understand about. Let's not get into Brexit again, but I understand. There were originally there were good reasons for wanting to do it. Well, let's maybe get into it. But just to finish this point on a slightly higher level, there were what seemed like valid reasons 4 years ago, and you went, oh, fair enough. You're not necessarily racist because you voted. And then obviously there's the boat thing about we're going to shoot, Priti Patel doing her Christ knows what soulless thing about, we'll bomb them out of the water when they're coming over on their boat, and then the mask thing, and you think it's almost like a diminishing return, though, isn't it? Because Brexit was like a huge thing. Obviously, the immigration thing is a huge thing, but on a slightly smaller scale, if you like, because it's a few people coming into the country. And the mask thing is like a really tiny thing to get really angry about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's literally like.
We were having a conversation. We were having a conversation over Zoom last night, and one of the guys on there was saying like it's almost impossible, like the binary thing of like this is wrong, this is right, and there's no middle ground. There's no grey area for kind of debate. No one debates anymore. It's either no, I'm right and you're wrong, and the other people are like, no, we're right and you're wrong.
There's a lot of I say a lot. There's some research happening now about how social media is rewriting our sort of brains, I suppose, basically, or our ability to converse. Because you're right, because it wasn't that many years ago. Say I disagree with one of you on a topic. Let's not make it too inflammatory, but let's just say we disagreed on the topic. I might say, yeah, but I think this, and you'll say, yeah, but I think this, and then we'd probably go, fair enough, actually. I don't really agree with what you're saying, but I can kind of see your angle. I can kind of understand why you come from that angle. And you'd kind of park it and then probably go to a pint or something. Whereas on social media, the moment you say anything that someone disagrees with, they're like, no, you're wrong, burn in hell, I'm going to kill you. And it's like, Jesus Christ, what happened to having a discussion?
Yeah, I know.
And I think it's that, and I think it's just the fact that it's distanced, isn't it? Like because even like these days, you say social media is rewiring your brain, but when I've had conversations about it when I worked in a factory, because there was a lot of people with different opinions there, you could actually have a conversation about it. And because you're there with each other, like it's got to last longer than a sentence, hasn't it? So you're like, someone complains about something, you go, no, actually this, and this. And they go, well, no, but this. And I'm like, well, maybe. So you do have that debate. But online, it's just like, I think this. And they're like, no, fuck you, you're wrong. And that's where the conversation ends. Like there is no discourse on it anymore. Like, and the
other thing as well is that there are sources that both of you will be able to find on the internet to post to each other to try and prove your point. Yeah,
I
can find arguments for both.
I could look online and find an article that says like apples are derived from oranges, and I would be able to find one that supports that, like regardless of whether it's true
most of your sources from Reddit, by any chance?
Possibly. But this is it. It is weird. It's just weird that
no, you're right. Yeah,
it's that confirmation bias, isn't it? It's online.
Yeah.
So much.
I've always tried. I mean, I don't think I always achieve it, but I think I've always tried, even on social media, to think about, like you say, if I was in the same room, say if it was a pub conversation, how would I address that topic if I was invited into that conversation, rather than just blasting in with "you're totally wrong," blah blah blah. I fail sometimes, obviously, but I do try and phrase it in a bit of, but hang on a minute, what about, or just try and sort of say, but what about an alternative viewpoint, rather than blasting in with, you're totally wrong.
Yeah, Oi, you racist bastard. This is what I think.
Yeah. But but then also there's a lot of people on there who just want it for clicks, don't they? They're not interested whether it's right or wrong. They post this inflammatory stuff.
And
I mean, it's like Katie Hopkins, for example.
Yeah,
the problem is
that, isn't it?
The difficulty with social media as well is now in a pub there might be a group of 4 of you where 3 of you have one viewpoint, or 50-50, like 2 have one viewpoint, 2 have the other, and that's the conversation. Online, you post it, you're always going to get people that will come in and agree with you. So you've got, again, that confirmation bias. Like you say, Reddit, you'll get people clicking the thumbs up, the up arrow, like I like this, and so you're getting people confirming your point of view. So that sort of solidifies it within yourself. I must be right because this many people agree with me.
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I don't have a problem with the discourse on it, even when it's something inflammatory like, say, race and stuff. I'm not talking about someone who immediately jumps in and says, I'm a member of the KKK. I'm not talking about that.
Oh, no.
But I'm talking about people who try and say, oh, but there was this thing happened to white people once. And apart from me going, oh, for fuck.
Yeah, no.
Yes, it did.
I do try and have a bit of a discourse about them, because I've noticed, if you know, I don't know if you've noticed the pattern, but a lot of people, when they're trying not to be racist. I don't mean they are racist, but I mean they're trying not to be by saying, they'll start by saying, oh, well, it's not, it's all lives matter, or all that bollocks. But then they'll always come back with something about, oh, well, in this, in 1745, white people were slightly upset by comment. So surely that's just as bad as all the slavery.
Yeah.
But they try and find a thing about how white people got slightly upset once. And try and say, well, that equally balances out, the huge history about
hundreds and hundreds of years of oppression.
That's identical to what you've suffered, clearly. I mean, I was once upset by a slightly hurtful remark that equates to...
And therefore I'm going to be...
The way I do it, though, is especially when people bring up like little shitty things like that, I'm like, but... just because you stubbed your toe doesn't mean you're in the same boat as that person who had their fucking legs amputated. Like, they don't marry up. Like,
no.
It's like, yes, your toe
but
does
equally,
hurt,
it's like,
but that guy has no fucking legs now. Like, it's...
These little incidences of white people being slightly suppressed are just that, incidences, very small incidences out of a history of global oppression.
But I watched a video
towards
it always boils down to, there was 2 weeks once where some people weren't able to get their foie gras and champagne. And look at the suffering, and you just think, I don't know how I can cope with the conversation, but I try.
I was tempted yesterday to share a video to sort of support this like white privilege thing, and I'm just like, I probably should have done, because now I'm getting complacent with this. Like, look at this, it is a problem. But there was that news story yesterday. I don't know if you saw it about Barrister, a black woman. So not only is she a person of, so not only is she a person of color, she's also a woman. So she's like doubly disadvantaged. She's not a middle-aged white man. So like. Was it like 3 or 4 incidences? Like, she says she has it occasionally anyway, but on this one particular day, she walked in and not only like she was told to leave the court. I mean, as she got to the doors and she was trying to come in and the guy checked her on, like, I picked up on the fact that he looked on the list of defendants to try and find her name.
Yeah.
He's a barrister in it. So,
he said, can you wait for your case or something, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's like, what makes you think she's...
Unbelievable.
Like, first, you don't think she's a barrister because she's a black woman, but you also think she's there to defend herself of something. So why can't she be on the prosecution? Like why does she have to be... Yeah. And two people thought she was a defendant.
Yeah.
And then that was 2 out of the 4. And I'm just like, I wanted to share it as like, this is white privilege. Like, not even that, it's institutionalized racism. It's just built in.
Yeah.
Like, they instantly think she's a defendant, like she's a criminal.
The dehumanizing, the demonizing, the everything you want to call it is endemic in our structure. And that's not to say everyone in the structure is a racist, but it's saying that there are patterns of behaviour, and I'm sure I'm guilty of it as well. Yeah, and I think if one thing lockdown had taught me is, as much as I thought I kind of understood racism, I was fucking clueless about how deep it ran. I understood the history of slavery and stuff, but then I don't know if you've seen 13th, done by Ada.
I haven't yet.
Talking about the prisons and stuff and how that's just basically slavery.
That's the documentary,
And suddenly my eyes were even more open to, oh, fuck, this, I mean, I knew it was bad, but it's even worse than I thought it was.
It's about the 13th Amendment, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's so much worse and so much more endemic and so much more, even at the high levels where someone isn't a racist, if you like, but there are certain behaviour patterns, or certain, like if a gang of, I don't know, black youths walks by, their reaction is going to be, any moment now I'm going to be brutally stabbed to death. Yeah. And they'll say, oh, no, it's just because it was a group of young lads. But it probably wasn't, was it? Because if it was a group of sort of white lads, I kind of think you would have not had quite such reaction to it.
You might have felt uncomfortable, just not to the same level.
Yeah.
And no, I've spoken about it on here before. I'm guilty of it when we used to go out to Brixton for concerts. Like, I would get anxious about going to Brixton because, lots of black gangs, lots of black people, and it was just that inbuilt thing that I had that, it's...
And I think we've all got, I think there's anyone who says I'm not, I think it's difficult. I think you can't say you're not racist. I think you say you're fighting with your every breath to be better.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think you can say you're not, because I just think...
I think that's more honest.
Yeah. I think it was it's how you were taught. It was your environment. It was how other people told you how to react. It was in everything. It was in the TV. Even recently when, and I don't remember this at all. I watched... 40 Towers, and there was an episode, I think it was the German episode, where there's an incredibly unpleasant word spoken, which I won't mention, but I'm sure you can guess. I don't remember that being in it. It clearly was, because it was in the original version, and they had to pull it. But it's like, who the hell put that on the air anyway on Netflix? But that aside, and obviously I would have watched that as a child, and I don't remember being outraged and upset then as a child, going, holy crap, you can't say that, that's outrageous. So there was a point in my life where I'm not saying I embraced it, but I'm just saying I didn't recognize it as a terrible thing.
I think this is what Ant and I were having a conversation about a couple of months ago now, on the back of the resurgence of the BLM movement. And kind of we were talking about this, and I think you've put it much more eloquently than both of us managed to do that.
Thank you.
It's the fact that you don't.
You're right.
It started by 3 women, wasn't it? The original movement.
Yes, back in 2013 or 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the stuff you see against it about people saying, "Oh, this is designed to sort of destabilise society and blah blah blah." You think, well, really? Because, I mean, because if you're not trying to destabilise the current setup, then you're complicit, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
you can't have that as a statement. You're saying, "Oh no, but they're causing trouble and blah blah." Yes, because we can't stay as we are.
No, and the people complaining about that are generally middle-aged white people who have done pretty well out of the system. Do you know what I mean?
I don't want to lose any of the stuff I had through no effort whatsoever that I've achieved in my life.
Exactly. I just think the current kind of climate at the moment, and especially with the economy tanking and with the possibility of it tanking even further towards the end of this year, I think I think that it would be for the best if we all just ripped up the rule book and started looking to Star Trek, for example, for an example of how to live life a little bit more fairly and just in a more slightly more utopian kind of view of humanity. Nice. Like, get rid of capitalism for a start, make sure everyone has what they need, because there clearly is the money to do that, because however many of us have been on furlough for 6 months without having to do work and still being paid. I know that there are going to be massive repercussions on taxes and stuff after this. However, it shows that things can be done differently. There is a different model upon which you can make the world run, and Star Trek's a pretty good example of that. And speaking of sci-fi,
nice segue.
Thank you very much. It was labouring and intense.
Let me move out of the way to let
you can see that segue coming into land. You've had a pretty you released Monsoon Jackson at the beginning of 2020, or was it the end of 2019? I can't quite remember now, because dates are
yeah, I know, don't worry. No, series 2 came out really just as the pandemic hit, so yay.
Yeah, because I don't know, you've done quite a lot of promotion and continue to do the promotion on Twitter. I mean, were those original, because I know podcasts in general are the kind of things that people listen to on their commute, and I know that a lot of podcasts were looking at seriously tailing off audiences. Were you finding that at the beginning of lockdown?
Yeah, it hasn't got the growth I hoped it was going to get, but I've kind of, I don't know if I've taken solace. I mean, maybe people hate it, obviously, but I've kind of taken solace from the fact that there was a lot of talk, and there still is a lot of talk, that there's not such a big take up of things people aren't used to, because they want the comfort of what they had before, sort of thing. So, like the big hitter podcasts, the Buxton, whatever of this world, they kind of want that comfort of something they know that's safe and gentle and sort of pleasant, and and it's like a comfort thing, isn't it? I totally understand that, and I just think I don't mean I'm hoping, it sounds terrible, but I'm hoping when this pandemic's over that it becomes a massive success. But I kind of thinking that I think new podcasts are struggling a bit at the moment. Not all of them, obviously, Tom, but I think people just want that. Here are the 5 or 10 or 15 I'm used to, and I just want to stick with them. I don't really want to sort of open up something else, because I want something stable. Because I had hoped, obviously, because I've been very lucky with who came on board to voice.
That was
yourself included, obviously.
The biggest, the star attraction,
the big hitters. But I was thankful to yourselves. I was thankful to everyone that came on board. But obviously, I was hoping that, because I'd expanded, say, the universe a bit by bringing in more people to. You're thinking, well, surely that's going to strike a chord with people, and there'll be a bit. But it hasn't been, as I say, quite as had the impact I'd hoped for. I mean, it's not so badly, but it's not been as brilliant.
That is surprising, because you've had, I mean, it was an all-star cast, wasn't it, really? I mean, you got, you even dug Weezer up out of the closet. Wheatus, sorry, not Weezer.
Weezer. Well, they're still going, but they're still doing it.
I know,
But I know, yes, from where people may remember them, I understand that. But it was amazing that, because you sort of start conversations and you're kind of fully expecting people to go piss off. No. But actually, I was really lucky with a lot of people. A couple of people who sort of promised it, then fell by the wayside. But that's life, isn't it? But most, I'd say a good 90% who originally said they were up for it did it. So I got pretty lucky on that. And as I say, I had hoped that might reach a wider audience, but I don't know. I'm just going to keep plodding away, see what happens. And obviously the short I did got into the Liftoff network, which was nice. I'm not going to overplug that, but I'm just saying. So it's not all negative. Some positive stuff has happened this year, but I don't. This really wasn't the year, was it, for perhaps
launching things?
It's been such a bizarre year for everyone, isn't it? I mean, like you say, with the growth of it, like even some of the established podcasts, you know, the guys that we're friends with, when we've spoken to them, they said that even they noticed a drop off in their numbers during the pandemic. So, like you say, people do look for the comfort, but there's been a drop off for everyone. I think, like, it's just a general thing. Like I'm guilty of sticking to podcasts that I know and feel safe with, because my podcast time is severely limited when I moved into the healthcare. Going from listening from 8 hours a day to about half an hour a day. But I did pick the ones that I knew. Like, I wasn't going and looking for new things. So there definitely is that element. Like, where people aren't commuting now, they will stick with the ones that they know.
Yeah. But, and I think a lot of people just went to the. No, that's unfair. But I think personally there was more of a lean towards sort of the comedy, sort of light-hearted stuff. I think because that's really, let's be fair, that's what a lot of people want to hear. They don't necessarily want to hear anything that's sort of too dark or foreboding.
Definitely want to laugh in these these times.
So you've got a podcast where they're interviewing sort of another fellow comedian, or they're doing a sort of a skit, or they're just a funny person doing their podcast, and I'd appreciate that and think, I completely understand that's why that's very much a thing for this year. Trying to keep the darkness out, but as I say, maybe hopefully next year if things, I don't know, Christ knows, but
whenever that vaccine comes into being in 2021 or whatever it is,
2024, it is,
but because like, I mean, the universe of Monsoon Jackson is kind of dystopian, but there's a lot of comedy in there as well, though. That's what I like about it. Like I really enjoy the writing and the little nods to. I mean, imagine if you'd have left it another half a year and you'd be able to put in loads of stuff about coronavirus. Like, there would have been so much satire in there. I think it might have imploded.
It's nice. Thank you for saying. I appreciate that. I have had a couple of people contact me and saying, "Oh yeah, nice nod to Practical, nice nod to the various bits I put in." And some stuff hasn't been picked up on yet, which I quite like. Some stuff has been picked up on, which I quite like. And there's a few. There's a few more Easter eggs for people to sort of go, "Oh, hang on a minute," But I kind of like that, and I kind of like it doesn't distract from the story. But I like it when people go, "Hang on, I recognise that from."
Yeah.
So do the Captain America? I got that reference.
But it's kind of fun because I'm you kind of think if I'm writing in that style, the people who are most likely to listen to it probably have the same kind of formative background in who they've read or what they've watched, and so you probably think they'll probably get most of these. They'll pick up on most of it. So it was good fun, and I'm kind of debating writing a third series, but I'm kind of leaving it a bit until sort of the clouds have cleared a bit because. I want to go darker, but I really don't think now would be the time to record. I don't think now people are going to go, "Oh, great, something to really depress me." Yes.
Because I think, it almost ends on quite a downbeat kind of note, I would say. The last series.
No spoilers, because I haven't had the chance to listen.
No, I know.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. Sorry.
That's kind of why I'm struggling to kind of be like, I was hoping kind of tiptoe around it.
But that's the thing. I was hoping now because I'm commuting to work and I've got more time, I'll be able to catch up on all the things I've been meaning to listen to. Now I'm working from home, so there's no commute.
There's no commute at all.
So I'm going to get backed up on my podcasts again.
Yeah.
I think we've all us podcasters have suffered from. So like say like the big ticket items. I think we've all suffered a bit with people just like say having less time or just not fitting up to it. And that's just part of course. Even the big films that are coming back to the cinema have suffered quite from yesterday anyway. Quite badly suffered.
Yeah.
Which is leading to them rethinking what they're going to release, and that's going to have knock-on effects. But it's just the general air, isn't it? It's people are very worried. People are very sad, or they've even had losses in this, and this just isn't the time for kind of, I suppose, pretending everything's all right and. It's why the whole like, oh, let's get the economy up and running like normal, everyone go back to work is like, this is, it's not
it's not the right time. People are scared. People are worried. And I think you're right. But the thing about podcasts like yours, Andy, is that they're kind of evergreen anyway. It doesn't matter that people join in straight away. Obviously, it would be lovely if there were the numbers there, but people can come to it whenever they want, can't they? That's the kind of beauty of putting evergreen content out there.
I mean, obviously that was in the back of my head that I didn't start putting dates in or any kind of reference point, because how many films have we watched where you'll say, oh, in 2000 all this will be happening, and then you watch the film and go, well, that was a pile of crap, wasn't it? Because none of that happened. You know? So I deliberately kept dates out of it. It was just in the future. So it just hopefully it'll, as you said, has a longevity for anyone coming to it. But yeah. I
think that's where, like, when you say about films putting things in, I know, was it in Endgame? Like Thor was sitting playing Fortnite, and they made a reference to it, and I saw that, and I'm like, they shouldn't. That's not gonna age very well at all.
Well, it was like the MySpace reference in Iron Man, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Literally 2 years later, no one was using MySpace.
Yeah, I think
even at the time, it was going out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was what, 2008.
It's very odd when they put specific references to products and things like that in it. So, like you say with Monsoon Jackson, like you're referencing things, and like some of the story elements are based, or some of the history and stuff is based around things that are happening, but you don't ever mention it by name.
It's
just like and I think that's the way to do it, because it could be an event that happened. For us at the minute, we're like, oh, that's just like what's happening now, but in the future, people will be like, oh, that's why.
I kind of think some of the things I've written about, which are sort of now for us, I think the same shit will probably be happening in like 20, 30 years.
Yeah, I suppose.
He's talking about it. How did he know this thing was going to happen? No, it just goes round in a big cycle. Don't worry about it.
Your name will be synonymous with fucking Nostradamus.
Up there with
yeah. How did he predict this in 2020? But I mean, so one of the things I was very honoured and proud for all the people that stepped in, and obviously the story itself I was very pleased with. But obviously the first, or the interlude, if you like, piece with Reginald D. Hunter was a big thing for me.
I mean, this was going to be my question: is how the hell did you get people? How did you get these people on board anyway? Was it just constant badgering?
No, I've tended to find constant badgering tends to get people pissed off. I've tended to find that if you're already in sincere dialogue with them, and I suppose to reflect on that, I suppose one of the things I'm sure you've noticed that there are certain celebs, call them what you will, that are on Twitter and are engaged with their audiences or make an effort. They won't respond to everyone, obviously, but you'll see responses to people, or that was great, thanks for saying that, and there'll be this dialogue. And then you'll see certain celebs who literally, I say the celebs, I'm sure it's not them personally answering, but they'll only come on to Twitter when they've got something to promote. So the account will be literally dormant until they've got tickets to sell. Then suddenly they're on Twitter going, hi, look, there's a show next week, come and buy the tickets. And I've always thought that's such a bad way to treat people. So I've always been, for a long time before I was even thinking of asking him, I was in conversation, if you like, sporadic conversations on Twitter and things about things. And then just reached a point where, I approached him. I'd probably been talking to him for, 2 years plus, 3 years on Twitter.
Okay.
Just sporadic conversations, things he made comments and I'd comment back on, and he might come back on it or not. And then, he was up for it. It was just, as I say, I was fully expecting but he was great. Just meeting him in the flesh to do the recording back in the day when you couldn't meet people.
Oh, you actually did? It wasn't a remote thing?
No, I had a studio in London, and I say a studio, a room. Obviously, I'm making it sound fantastic. I hired all of London for the day.
So we popped up to Abbey Road.
Producers and engineers, mixing people.
I hired Abbey Road for a month just so we could meticulously record. No, I hired a podcast studio for the day. Even up to the point where he turned up, I thought, I'm probably going to get sorry, I can't make it, because who am I, sort of thing. But God bless him, turned up. And recorded, and I'm apart from the turning up and recording bit, I was blown away. That he really liked what he read as well. Because obviously I'm desperately trying not to spoil it, but obviously it has a lot of meaning, that interlude one.
I was going to say, like, I think you could hear it, that he was engaged with the material, because it was about that kind of thing, wasn't it? It was
sledgehammer subtlety on a lot of it.
but yeah,
anyway, I don't want to ruin it for Ad, so let's.
I'm trying to remember.
It was an amazing experience. He's an amazing. Obviously, like, why wouldn't he be? But
he's got a brilliant voice as well. Like, his voice is amazing.
I mean, that was the thing I really, that was the thing that I think I first noticed when I first ever went to see him at a gig, was just that his voice is just
soothing,
silky smooth.
Yeah, it's just such a good voice. I mean, it's just I'm not fanboying at all here, but
no.
and then what was the decision to get Adam in rather than the original narrator, whose name I can't remember? It's really bad.
Cameron.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'd been hoping to use Cameron, but the various factors came into play that meant it wasn't going to work. And I'd want, obviously, because of his Scottish lilt, I kind of thought I wanted to keep the same narrator, but it wasn't to be. So obviously I approached Adam, sort of saying, look, I know you're a bit busy.
Marginally.
With your 4-day-long podcast that you keep releasing, because apparently you don't sleep, as far as I can work out. But would you mind stepping in? And again, he was more than happy to, and God bless him, he did a cracking job. And yes, it wasn't in a Scottish lilt; it was in his voice. But I sort of stopped worrying about that. I thought, well, it's probably more the story, isn't it? Yes, I appreciate you've lost, I say the Scottish version of it.
Yeah,
the story's still being told, and maybe it doesn't hurt to change out. Maybe a different narrator for series 3 if I write it, but
that's what I was just thinking. It might be a good thing to have, where there's somebody else, somebody different narrating each season could be a thing.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, he obviously he was fantastic. I mean, yes, he's obviously he's a professional, isn't he, at recording? So it was pretty good. Just sticking him in the studio and saying off you go, and he was cracking. We got it recorded in 2 days. The whole lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not bad. Lots of coconut water.
That's the one. Yeah. Lots of water and coconut water. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But obviously he's a consummate professional, so you just kind of stick him in front of a microphone and off he went. So
yeah, he knows how to do long recording sessions, that man.
Well, obviously mine were obviously just like sort of sample starters for him, weren't they? They were just like test scripts.
Just warming him up for his next project.
Voice,
Well, I think he was saying something like the recording session for the Cary Grant one that he released recently was like 60 odd hours of recording.
Yeah.
He's a machine. Machine. But then again, that's his passion, is it? That's his thing. So it's not
100%
sure to him, is it? So
no, exactly. And what about like the film side of stuff? I assume I assume you're script writing still, but I imagine there's no actual filming going on at the moment.
No.
Oh dear.
No, I had hopes. There was one. There's my third shot I'd hoped to film this year, because then I want to move into a feature, which was going to be next year, but then that's not going to happen. So I'm hoping at some point next year I can film this third short, which has not many characters in it, which means from a point of view of the logistics of people in a room, it's going to be easier, but there are still people in a room. So, and there in the bigger sort of Hollywood machine, if you like, there's already been a lot of concern raised, because obviously they've gone back into production, but they said there's an awful lot of people on set, and there's an awful lot of people walking around not in masks and blah blah blah. So it's right from the very sort of big Hollywood blockbusters down to us small indies, that there is, if you care about people, there's a problem about, I can't stick 2 actors or 3 actors, or what would it be in the end, 5 actors I suppose. I can't stick 3 disparate or 5 disparate people in a room, because they've all come from their own pods. I never thought I'd have to think like that, but you do, obviously.
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it?
And I think the only way around it, and I think what they're probably doing in Hollywood, is anyone that's working on the film isolates for 2 weeks, then goes into, and then they don't see anyone else. I know, like, I I mean, in a different vein of things, like Bake Off this year is totally different, isn't it? Like, yeah, they're just completely a pod on their own. Like,
they're staying in that house, aren't they?
Yeah, not seeing their family or anything for like up to 8 weeks. Yeah, it's bizarre.
I've just literally just launched the fundraiser for this next one, and the money on that fundraiser is really only to make sure the cast and crew are paid properly. Because in the past I've had mates rates and stuff, but I kind of think that, especially after this year, I want you to get fully paid rather than any kind of mates rates. So just started that, but I'm not expecting that to pick up now. I've just got it out there to sort of slowly churn on it. But I'm even looking at the script, which, as I say, it doesn't have many people in it. I'm in my head trying to go, is there a way I can film more of it in a sort of one-on-one situation without them sort of, but even then I'm thinking, but there's only so much you can do before it definitely looks like two people went in the room together at the same time.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it?
It very much looks like,
then you get into that Hollyoaks problem where they're shot over the shoulder of someone, and then the next bit is shot over the shoulder of that person, and it becomes quite obvious.
It's just like half an hour, 40 minutes of holy crap. There's only one person in the room at any one time.
With a stunt shoulder.
Stunt shoulder. Yeah, exactly. So I'd love to film it, but I'd rather people say so. I'm just hanging on at the moment until A, I can figure out a way of doing it safely, or B, things become so low risk that you still take precautions.
Of course, yeah.
But at least you can be. I think one plan is, because it's going to be set in kind of one location, is obviously I probably could find a much larger location, albeit it still look like a small location. So you've got the airflow to try and keep people safe. But even then, I don't want to be the person who, even for a moment, thought, Christ, that was my ambition that's got that person into health issues. So,
of course,
and that's it, isn't it? That's the wider concern, really, isn't it? It's like you don't want to be the person who then has someone go home and then they take it to their grandparents or something,
Exactly. Especially if it's the last day of filming. I'm not feeling very good. Don't care. Sit down.
You don't
finishing this film. No, you're absolutely right. I couldn't live with being the cause in any way. So.
No.
Where would people be able to find this fundraiser if they felt like donating?
So I'm tweeting it at the moment. So it'll be on my timeline.
Your personal timeline or the?
I know. Some of the Oz one.
Yeah.
So they're my personal ones. So I've got so many accounts of my blessed ones. But there's that, and you'll also find a link to the last short I filmed, which I can now release now as post festival. So that did quite well in the festivals.
Because the festivals were still going on, were they?
Yeah, it's the frustration of this person who wants to have a one of the laurels on their film is you can't show it, you can't distribute it or show it because it may sway the judges. I don't think I've got that level of impact. I just don't think my small short film is if it was released before they saw it, they go, other people have seen it, so therefore it's going to win. I just don't think that's how this works, is it?
Yeah. But there are rules.
There are rules that you can't distribute. And even on the couple I was in, there was, because it was in virtual this year, there was certainly some, how can I put this without sounding like I'm sour graping? There was some interesting rules around voting, which makes you think, but then the films that had more cast and crew are going to win because they've got more people who can vote.
Right.
That's just down to a logistics now at this point.
Yeah.
So there's a whole thing about you could vote in one of them, for instance, you could vote for 2 films, but only the people who bought in or had the access to the screeners could vote, or you had to pay to go and vote. Now, as much as I love to think everyone I know would pay to go and vote, I just don't think they would. So I had obviously the cast and crew kind of thing voting. Then there were films that had 3-4 times as many cast and crew, and you think, well, logistically, if everyone on my cast and crew votes and everyone on their cast and crew votes, automatically they're already doing much better than me in the vote. And I'm not saying mine was the best film. I'm just saying.
But it's not a level playing field.
But we experienced that in the band, like a Battle of the Bands, and it was like you need to sell tickets for your friends to come along, And then, and then the attendees voting. It's like, well, we're coming from further away, so less people are going to want to buy tickets to come to this Battle of the Bands than the people who live just down the road. Because the people that have more friends and family and fans there, of course they're going to win. That's why I prefer the Battle of the Bands we did where it was judged.
By a panel.
Yeah, because when we've been in ones that were judged, we did well. When we were in ones that were voted for by the audience, we didn't do well at all.
No, because no one wanted to travel up from Maidstone to London to go to a night that they were also paying like 15 quid for a ticket for or something.
One of those Battle of the Bands we won, one of the judges was very bitter about it.
Bitter about you winning, that's nice.
Mainly because I asked for people to put 2 hands up because they were literally doing it on hand count, and I was like, right, okay, you just make sure you put 2 hands up. And
surely that's just working the system.
Is that the Wooden Bridge one you're talking about?
Oh no, not the Wooden Bridge. Oh no, that was a panel one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Wooden Bridge. The guy came out and said to us, he goes, technically you weren't the best, like you didn't play your instruments the best, but you got the crowd going, so that's why you won. And we're like, isn't that what a band's supposed to do?
Like we were the only band in the night to get a call and response going, and also
like the Sex Pistols. The Sex Pistols.
Surely that's the point.
Band, but they did really well. Like,
it's
nuts, technically you weren't the best band, but you got.
But equally, we weren't in the same genre. Like we were a punk band, and they were like a they were almost like Muse type heavy prog.
Yeah,
like it was.
How do you get prog wrong? You could just play anything in prog. Very difficult to tell if you got it wrong or not.
But no, like they were very good musicians. Like the guy had a great singing voice. It's just, it's the sort of thing you just stand there and watch.
But it was chin stroking music, wasn't it?
Yeah. Whereas we were sort of like, you need to sing with us.
That's still really rude, though. That's really
like,
the fact he came out and told us. Basically, he didn't like us. We were shit.
We were like, all right, mate, but we still won. So
No, I've come up with a plan. Although if I film this next shot, trying to keep the numbers down, I'll probably only have 4 crew. So I'll have obviously sound, lighting, camera and makeup, and I'll try and keep it to 4 crew and keep it light. But obviously then what I'll do is, I think with people who hopefully support it, what I'll probably do is make them like associate gaffer. If I can get like 500 associate gaffers, then when it comes to voting next year,
send in the screeners so they're eligible.
Absolutely, why not? If you've got a crew of 500, then go for it.
But I want them all to just be one job, so like 500 gaffers or something. And people go, what the hell do you need 500 gaffers?
The credits are longer than the short.
we did a couple of years ago. We were in the London Film Festival, and there was I think it was Polish submission. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It was sort of a vampire sort of love story film. But it was good. It was a short. It was very well filmed. But there was only 3 actors, I think, in it. Possibly 4 actors. And you would think probably from that quite a light crew to film it. But when the credits came up, the credits went on for ages. and it wasn't like they're obviously patrons or backers or something. It wasn't like
they actually had jobs.
It was actually roles and then names. And I'm looking at, because obviously it was in Polish, I couldn't decipher. But I'm thinking, why did you do? It was literally set in one street, filmed in one street, and inside one room, so 2 locations. But the credits just kept going, and you're like, I literally don't know what are all these people doing in this film? So I'm sure they all had a purpose, but I thought, is this just what I've just thought of now? Some brilliant way to get more votes by going, here's my crew,
Why not?
Yeah, well, why not? It's if anyone, obviously I appreciate at this moment in time it's not a good time to be giving money away, but if anyone does want to back it, I need to update it, so obviously they will be credited and things. I realise I haven't put that, but I kind of thought that might be a given, but I probably should just make that clearer. Obviously they'll be credited and thanked in the credits. So.
Yeah, cool. Well, all the best with that. I'm sure there are going to be people out there who will. I'm sure there are. But hopefully things return to normal so you can get back to your passion essentially. But I suppose it's as and when right now, isn't it? As with a lot of things.
I think
sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, I think the thing with like times like these, I think it breeds creativity, doesn't it? Like, I think people find ways to make things work and do things, and I think it's quite good. I think
you're right. It's funny you say that, because it almost sounded like you batted this up, but I'm in a dialogue at the moment about 2 of the other shorts I've written being animated.
Oh, wow.
Right.
But it's honestly the protracted discussions around it, because I didn't think it'd be as simple as here's a script animated. I realised there would need to be a dialogue, but it's kicking on and on and on. It's like, oh god.
You told us that you were doing one of them before, actually. You told us before that you were doing one. Was it stop motion, one of them? You wanted
they're both going to be. One of them will be a bit manga-esque animated. One of them will be a bit more stylized animated, but they're both going to be, if you like, in a computer animated, probably 2D, just 2D to keep the cost down. But the journey of trying to find people is just ridiculous, because you sometimes you find people on Twitter, but then some odd things have happened with a couple of people who've contacted me. It gets into very weird conversations about, but you need to make payments on PayPal first. It's like,
don't think so.
Hey, what? Why don't you? Oh, we have to be paid before we make it. No, that's literally not how anything works.
No, that's
And I understand their point. They say, oh, well, they make half a payment. And it's like, no. And they say, well, because obviously you might have it made and then not pay us. It's like, well, then you wouldn't give it to me, would you? So
then you would still own it.
The thing is, I think the problem with online creatives is they do come across people that do that a lot. Like, there's a lot of people that say, can you do this? I don't want to pay you, but exposure. And it's like, no, that doesn't buy me anything.
No, I've made
I know you will pay people.
You
are willing to pay the people. It's just obviously where they've had, obviously these people have had poor experiences in the past, which is a shame.
Yeah. But I've even said, even if you're sending me over just clips of how it's going to look, just watermark the hell out of it if you want. I don't care. Just have watermarks across the entire page if you want.
Trickle the work in and trickle the money across. So when you give me proof, I will pay you this percentage or something. Just something, work out a payment plan. Or something like that.
Yeah, I made it clear that I don't. That's the general
way, isn't it?
Yeah. But there's just been some very weird conversation. I'm now hopefully on a route that's going to get it made. Because one of them was being animated by someone, and then they just disappeared off the face of the earth.
That's right.
That was what you told us before, wasn't it?
Yeah. They were about halfway through animating, and then they just vanished.
Bizarre.
Totally bizarre. I know they're back online now, so it wasn't like they died, which is what you start thinking about.
Yeah.
But they just don't know. And it's not like I'd even paid them. It's not like they'd made a run with the money or anything. It's
they just stopped.
It just stopped. Yeah. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'll get the animations out probably early next year.
That'd be interesting.
Because I'd imagine the second feature would be the manga one, right?
Well, there'll be the 2 animations being done independently to the live filming I'm doing. So there's one that is much. Whether it turns out to be manga, whether it turns out to be more cartoony, I haven't quite decided on yet. But along those lines, one will just be a bit more stylized because it's a slightly more important topic or darker topic, I suppose, to discuss. Right. So. I'm kind of looking at that avenue as, let's see if I can get it made that way, because then that's just down to someone with a laptop making it, and there's no kind of risk, is there? So, fingers crossed.
Well, and I think animation is actually where a lot of work is still being done, because it can be done remotely as well. That's the easiest thing about it. Like all the soundtrack stuff, the
voice work,
recording and voice work can be done remotely. The animation can be done remotely. It can all be edited remotely, and I think that possibly is the way forward for now. But then the problem with that is that it takes longer to produce. So therefore, once it's finished, we may well be out the other side anyway. But if it's keeping the creative juices burning, then absolutely go for it.
Well, I don't know if you watched The Blacklist, John Bogenkamp's The Blacklist, which is obviously they were halfway through filming when when COVID hit.
Right.
And so they actually part animated the missing scenes.
Oh, right.
So they kind of did a bit of a detective, that kind of noir detective, not quite noir, but that detective style look. Yeah. So for the scenes they hadn't filmed, they got someone to animate the sort of the scenes and the cutaways and bits, just so they could put out the final episode of the series.
Okay.
And it's bizarre to watch because obviously you're watching, real live action, or a bit of a cartoon thing there. Live action. So it's a bit surreal, but I kind of think that was quite a clever way to say, let's get to the end of this, because I know what they were worried about is if they don't get the last one out, people will wander off and get bored and they won't ever come back. And by the time you release it as a full live action, people go,
yeah.
Because I do that. There was I was thinking about the other day. There was, I can't think what it was. No, not The Departed. Oh God. There's one about where the people are drowned in that village in the middle of nowhere, and it was originally a French thing, and then it was remade, or I think edited back into English.
Okay.
The first series was brilliant, and it was really captivating, and I was really taken by it. And I really can't wait for series 2. I think series 2 then took, for some reason, 2 or 2.5 years to come out.
Yeah.
It was by the time it came out, it's like.
Was it called The Missing?
Was it The Missing? It might be The Missing.
I think.
Yeah.
I think it was BBC 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was The Missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? If you leave it too long, the audience does tend to drift off. But...
But yeah, I kind of take credit. I kind of think that was a creditable move to say, let's animate the missing scene. So.
Yeah. If you've got the disposal, if you've got the time to do it and the drive to get it done and need to get it done, then you've got to do what you got to do, haven't you?
Well, yeah. I mean, I obviously I know we've talked on and off about the blockbuster film that perhaps isn't, but someone handing it 200 million is you can make quite a lot for that, can't you? So
yeah, absolutely. Yes, and actually, there's a thing like Andy and I are probably going to go and do a spoiler cast on the blockbuster film or not. I think in a bit. Before that, though, possibly a game of 5 clicks to Christ, seeing as you're here.
Oh yeah.
No. What you mean is 400 clicks to Christ.
You never know. So yeah, I mean, it's been.
Look at that. I love this, the fact that all our patrons are going to see the disappointment and dread in his face.
It's just I know you're going to get to Adam at some point. He's going to go onto the first page and it'll be Jesus Christ. It's like, oh look, I've won again. It's like, oh God.
Adam's already played this year.
Has he?
Yes.
So why didn't I remember that? Has that been on the spoiler?
It was on Patreon, yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the ones we had. We had Scott, Smokey, and Adam.
Yes, they all jumped in at once, yeah.
Yes.
God, that was painful.
I do remember that. It was a while ago. Yes, I was.
Yeah.
And he is the leader.
Oh, what a surprise! What a genuine surprise.
So we'll leave that there. If you're a patron, come and find us and we'll be playing the game. And if you're not, why not become a patron and see what it's all about?
Absolutely. Do become a patron. They're great guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And until next time, I've been Tom.
I've been Ant.
I've been Andy.
Bye.
Bye.
All three.